Ants are known for being some of the smartest insects to walk the earth. So I was wondering, if I put my 1,000 ants up against custom challenges, could they complete them, or would they simply fail?
Well, I don't know. So that's why I gathered up my 1,000 ant colony and have prepared 4 brand new ant obstacles that have never been seen before on YouTube.
The first of which is a custom ant nest, which I'm going to be releasing my colony into. Now this is going to be interesting, because while there's this whole top area for the ants to explore around, there's also this 2D ant nest on the side of the glass that the ants can dig tunnels out all around. But lurking under this 2D nest is an insect lair filled with tons of crickets, which the ants are gonna have to dig into, and we'll see whether they attack the crickets or whether the crickets go crazy running through all the tunnels. I have no clue.
Ants, I know you want the crickets. You best start digging.
And thankfully, I didn't have to wait long because this species of ant is literally hardwired to want to dig. Yes, sir. They started to turn into little excavating machines, and within only a couple hours, so much progress was made, and the ants were getting dangerously close to the insect cave. I know this side of the glass is slightly dirty, so it's a little hard to see, but if you look closely, you can see how single ants will pick up individual grains of sand, walk all the way to the surface to drop them off, and yeah, then they just repeat that process. Anyways, it was starting to get quite late for me, so I decided to go to sleep, and when I came back in the morning, I was amazed by what I saw.
Okay, guys, I just woke up and take a look at this ant colony. I did not expect them to dig all of this out overnight. But wait, are they down here? I don't think so. Looks like the crickets are fine. Wait, hold on though. That means the ants above could literally dig into the crickets any second now. Oh my gosh, bro. Wait, I gotta set up my camera.
Yup, the ants and crickets were minutes away from encountering each other. The only thing in the way was this thin layer of paper towel that the ants will have to chew through. And of course, it didn't take very long until I noticed the first ants that had started to make it through. If you look closely, it seems like they had successfully chewed a hole through, and workers were slowly starting to squeeze inside.
Wait, yo. There's ants down here. Hold on, they literally just broke down. Oh, ooh, things are about to get interesting.
Yup, the ants were starting to infiltrate the cricket lair. Now, this ant species needs to hunt live insects in order to make sure the whole colony can be fed protein, so I was not very surprised when I noticed the ants started to gather up to form an army on the right side and slowly started to move towards the crickets until they got distracted by this jelly cricket food, which they decided to take a break and eat.
Yo, ants, no way. You are just eating that jelly stuff. Wait, do you realize that there is crickets all in here? Are you guys gonna attack them, or are you just gonna eat the jelly?
But it wasn't long until one ant decided to go rogue. It started to run into the crickets, completely driving them crazy, which set off a chain reaction of the crickets, then walking into the ants, which just made everyone angry. This cricket started to get swarmed by a few of the ants, and we could see how they completely pinned it down and started to annihilate it. Yup, it's very brutal, but you just gotta keep in mind, this is how nature works, and ants need to do this. And the fact that the colony had started to infiltrate this lair shows that they meant business in taking down these crickets.
These ants are eating good tonight. Not only are they still sucking up this honey stuff, they're also eating the crickets. But yeah, I guess I'll just keep time-lapsing this to see if anything interesting happens over the next day.
Yeah, as you could probably guess, over time, more and more ants swarmed this little area and eventually took out pretty much all of the crickets. I also just find it interesting how over time, ants can do so much stuff and basically completely redug out their tunnels to be concealed from the light.
Bro, it is so cool what the ants have done to this little lair down here. Since you guys passed the obstacle, you get rewarded with a bunch of food like oats and carrots, it looks like. Hopefully you guys enjoy.
And while these ants eat this food, it's time to prepare their next challenge, archer fish.
Yes, sir. My 1,000 ants are going to have to survive the archer fish bridge of doom.
If you don't know what an archer fish is, well, it's this insane fish that can sit at the water surface waiting for a bug to crawl on a branch above, then they strike. They have these insane mouths that can spit beams of water to knock insects directly into the water, where they are then gulped up. And in this case, the ant colony is going to have to make it across this bridge while avoiding the water streams getting shot at them from the fish below. Should be fun.
All right, ants, it's time to start the challenge. Let's just connect this tube in here, and now the ants have access. Oh, and if you're wondering like where all the 1,000 ants went, they're basically all all in the dirt area and the area where the crickets were. And over here, breaking down into the area where they're not supposed to go at all. Yeah, pretty much all the ants are right here. So if the ants complete this obstacle, I'm gonna give them a new nest.
But for now, the ants wasted no time to start sending their first exploring workers into the Archerfish Bridge. Now, initially, the ants weren't actually going to the bridge. They were mostly gathering over by this corner away from it. Guys, do you know you have an obstacle to complete? But eventually, some of our ants finally started to check out the edge of the platform, where, of course, right below, their predators were waiting. Almost every single one of these archerfish were staring upwards directly in the direction of these ants, waiting for the perfect moment to shoot their stream of water. And only a few minutes later, these unlucky ants happened to be our first victims. Out of nowhere, water splashes started to get unleashed on these ants. Some of them even got directly hit and flung backwards quite a far ways away. But yeah, guess the ants weren't really realizing exactly what was happening because they kept gathering up on this edge, where eventually one ant got directly hit straight off into the water.
Oh, guys, do you see what is happening? I'm sitting at my desk very far away from this, so it's very blurry footage. But bro, they are eating up the ants right now. Oh my gosh.
Now, normally I wouldn't want to let my ants get harmed in these kinds of videos, but in this case, it makes sense because ants make up the main diet of archerfish in the wild, and it's interesting to see how the archerfish will take a couple attempts to swallow the ant to ensure it won't be able to sting or bite anymore, and then they can get their protein. But eventually, some of our ants finally started to realize the point of the challenge and started to walk on the string, which especially it has to be risky walking upside down like this since the archerfish could shoot at any point. Thankfully, at this exact moment, none were below this little ant, so he and another ant were able to make it all the way to this first leaf.
Oh, check this out, guys. The ants have made it to checkpoint 1, and they still kind of have a long way to go, but, I mean, at least they're making progress.
But not every ant was so lucky. Many were still getting shot in and even falling off the bridge themselves. Some were getting eaten up, but most were actually getting left by themselves in the water. And only a few minutes later, I noticed something amazing. The ants that were floating on the water were coming together to grab onto each other's bodies with their legs to essentially create a mini raft. Now, massive ant colonies are known to do this in the wild to survive floods and keep all the valuable stuff like eggs on the top.
Yo, look at this. Oh my gosh, there is so many ants right there. And they're literally making a boat out of their bodies. Wait, is it cheating if I save these guys? Because I feel like if there's any ants that deserve to be saved, it's these guys. They're working so hard. And look at that. I can just pick them up. Oh my gosh. It's kind of satisfying, actually.
And yeah, don't worry. Ants surprisingly can sit on water for a decent amount of time and still make a full recovery as long as they get out. So these ants should be a-okay. Anyways, by this point, many of the ants were actually starting to make it surprisingly far on this bridge, like this ant that made a dash to the second leaf, which now all he had to do was walk this short length of string to get to the finish line. And that's exactly what he did, risking his life knowing he could get shot down at any second. And he got so close until he decided to completely turn around and completely kind of just started to go the wrong way.
Bro, I swear, this ant has got to have like 1 IQ. He was just at the finish line. He's just... What? Okay, I'm not even gonna question it, bro. Let's just keep waiting for another ant.
But as I kept recording, eventually this same ant decided to go back towards the finish line, doing the whole bridge again. Thankfully, he didn't get shot off and made it back to where he had turned around earlier. Surely this time you got this, ant.
No way this guy makes the same mistake. Wait, hold on. He's almost there. Bro, please, literally just climb up onto the platform. I'm telling you. You are so lucky there's not an archerfish right under you right now.
Yes, this ant really did take a sweet time, and for a second, I thought he was about to turn around again, but eventually this happened.
Oh yes, this ant just completed the obstacle. Ant, not only did you just win yourself a bunch of oats, but you just won the rest of your colony a bunch of oats. Okay, wait, hold on. Hopefully I didn't drop those too hard and accidentally crush one of the ants, but no, I think they're good. Let's move these guys back and rebuild their nest like I promised.
So I moved the ants back, put the archerfish back in their proper home, and completely tore apart their nest so I could construct them a new one.
Well, ants, it's time to say hello to your new nest. Let's dump all of you guys in. And of course, good job for passing the last ant obstacle. Here is your free reward from that. But ants, if you want even more prizes, well, you're going to have to complete the next ant obstacle, which is the ultimate ant gauntlet.
Yes, sir. And the ants happen to already be standing in the exact enclosure where this challenge will be taking place. You see, the ants are gonna have to walk into this place that says start and go through 4 different rooms to eventually get to the massive food prize at the end. And now, even be able to turn all these rooms into a nice temporary nest for now.
All right, ants, so are you ready to begin? Well, I'm just gonna pull this out and let the challenge begin.
And yep, the ants wasted no time to start swarming into this first room. Now you see, to progress to room number 2, the ants are going to have to chew through this hole of honeycomb. Yes, I literally bought a brick of honeycomb from a beehive, which was very expensive, and cut a little square off of it for these ants to chew through. Of course, because honey tastes super sugary, the ants wasted no time to absolutely start surrounding it.
Oh my gosh, the ants are swarming this first room. I legit can't even tell if they're making progress chewing through the honey right now. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
But yeah, based off the sheer amount of movement, surely progress was being made in here. But what was so interesting is somehow ants were actually already starting to get into the second room of the obstacle, even though they hadn't finished chewing through the first room of the honeycomb. Yeah, I don't know how some of the ants got here. I guess maybe they squeezed through some crack in the wall. But yeah, that kind of just goes to show how ants just kind of do whatever they want. Now, anyways, at this point, it was getting super late, and so I decided to go to sleep while I left my cameras recording. And what I caught was kind of funny, but also kind of sad, because while these ants literally never finished chewing through this honey all night, ants were making it even deeper into the obstacle. Yeah, this is the third room that had tons of flies in it that the ants were gonna have to attack, but somehow a couple workers already somehow made it inside. Some of them were attacking the flies, like this guy that was just walking around with one of them in his mouth, but amazingly, the ants also started to dig into room 4. This final room was filled with dirt, and the couple workers that were in here actually started to dig through it by themselves. And even more interestingly, if you look over here, the ants were chewing through the roof of this final room and actually completely just dug in and completely dug all the way through the entire thing until they had made it to the ending with all of the food prize.
Yo, these ants are cheaters. You're telling me I went to sleep and they did not even chew through this first room of the honey, but somehow there's ants in the middle room and there's lots of ants at the dirt, where they literally left most of the flies alone and just decided to dig through all the dirt. I guess good job, ants. You completed the obstacle, and I should probably stop building my obstacles out of this paper stuff that they could just kind of chew through. It's probably my fault.
This, of course, means the ants get to move on to their final challenge of the video, the spider web of doom. Yes, sir, this final tank that is filled with this weird stringy web stuff is the final obstacle. And the ants are gonna have to start at the bottom and somehow climb up these super thin strings to eventually make it to this platform with their prize on the top.
And ants, I don't think this challenge is easy, because halfway through, I'll be adding in a jumping spider to defend the prize at the end, and we'll see if it actually eats any of the ants by jumping on them. And well, I just spent the last hour picking up a bunch of the ants from here, but they should be ready to go into our final obstacle. And wait a second, who put this amazing spider plushie right here? And who put this amazing Pac-Man frog plushie here? Well, it was me, because we just launched 2 brand new TerraPals plushies.
Yes, sir, you guys love the Venombra and Axie TerraPals so much, we decided to make a Velora the spider, which is not only super cute, has the TerraGreen logo, but we also wanted to put some Velcro on its feet so you could connect them.
And this lets you wrap it around tons of different stuff like a real spider. And we've also released a Gumbo, the Pac-Man frog, which is easily our biggest plushie yet. And it's just so cute and has such a cool design. Oh my gosh. So yeah, as of today, you guys can now get these 2 brand new TerraPals. And I'll even tell you about how you can win it for free at the end of the video with a giveaway. But for now, I already know these ants are dying to get into this obstacle. Let's get them inside.
Now I started by pouring in just a few of these ants so we could see how they initially react to this weird stringy web everywhere, and well, it seemed like the ants were pretty intrigued. Many of them weren't climbing the string right away. Many were actually staying pretty still at the bottom. You see, I made this tank by getting a hot glue gun, which before it dries, you can stretch these super thin strings of glue. So I basically just shot this glue stuff everywhere and let it dry to make the strings. So this means they are extremely thin, and the ants probably didn't even realize that it was something that they could climb at first.
All right, since no ants have climbed up yet, all that means is we need to increase our chances of it happening. So let me just carefully dump the rest of these guys in, and yeah, hopefully you guys can complete the obstacle.
But interestingly, while I was dumping in these ants, a few of them actually landed on the weird stringy spiderweb structure, and it was cool to see how they very carefully traversed it, trying their best not to fall off. But apparently these ants didn't realize there was an amazing prize waiting for them at the end, because many of them just kind of started to climb climb downwards in the complete opposite direction they were supposed to go. Yeah, that is not what you guys are supposed to do. And yeah, while most of the ants were still not climbing at all, just kind of staying near the bottom, every now and then we would get a few brave ant scouts that would keep exploring through this dense web structure. And over time, some were actually getting surprisingly close to the end.
Dang, these ants might actually be able to complete this obstacle. But of course, I'm not gonna let that happen until I get to feed my jumping spider.
Yes, sir. I literally just went out and bought a new pet jumping spider for this obstacle because of how small it is. Yeah, usually jumping spiders are actually decently sized, but this one is basically a microscopic baby that is the perfect size to hunt some ants. So I went ahead and carefully let him loose at the end.
All right, jumping spider, you best be very careful to not fall into all of these ants. But for now, let's see if you can take down some of these ants.
Now, initially, the jumping spider was just chilling on the strawberries, but eventually I noticed him starting to walk around different parts of the tank, and eventually it even stepped onto the spider web string structure, where, of course, there were some ants not too far away. And thankfully, I wasn't gonna have to wait too long for some action, because this ant right here started to advance closer and closer to the spider. And interestingly, the spider didn't attack right away. It actually just stared at the ant as it slowly walked by. And yeah, the ant was getting extremely close to the finish line when the spider decided it wanted to start following the ant. But unfortunately, the spider was too slow because the ant eventually made it fully to the finish line, where the spider then decided to take a nap under the money.
Oh, this ant is so lucky. Because literally, look right next to him. The spider was stalking him while he tried to make it to the platform. But thankfully, you were able to do it, little buddy.
Yeah, guess this spider wasn't hungry right now, or maybe he's too smart and knows these ants are some of the strongest insects in the world.
Well, ants, you've completed the final obstacle, so you don't only get strawberries, but you get your $10,000 reward of totally real money. That's definitely not fake. Let me move you guys back to your proper nest. And most importantly, don't forget about the 2 new TerraPal plushies. They're of course available now on TerraGreenStore.com. If you guys want the chance to win these plushies for free, head to the brand new TerraPal's Instagram, where there should be some instructions of how to enter the giveaway. And yeah, that will be the second link in the description. But seriously guys, thank you so much for the support and helping make these plushies possible. It's truly my goal to make the coolest plushie of each animal in the world. So if you want to help me with that dream, you can support TerraPals by basically buying TerraPals. All right, well, hopefully you guys learned something new about ants, and yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go now. Bye.